don't just tell black secrets. I tell white secrets too, because we all family. They don't lie to some of us, they lie to
people together in one room, all wondering the same thing. Is Katt Williams gonna show up? Oh, he's right there.
Katt Williams walks into any room and the temperature drops because folks know he's not here to play by the script. He's here to flip the script, loud, clear, and straight to the point.
Our industry, who pays you is who tells you what narrative you're allowed to use. And I'm not paid, so I own my narrative. That is what makes my opinion valuable at all.
From the jump, he sets the tone. I own my narrative, meaning no studio collar, no PR babysitter, no checks telling him what he can or can't say. That's why the intro hits with those claims about turning down giant bags. Not to brag, but to show he won't sell his voice for access, clout, or cozy handshakes. And that's the engine behind the whole video.
Pell has never been a part of the Illuminati. They don't want him or me or people like us.
Katt is the rare comic who treats the stage like a witness stand, not a sales pitch. He's been in packed clubs since the 2000s, built a persona with sharp suits and sharper punchlines, then used that platform to call out the mess he swears is hiding in plain sight. The video frames him as the guy who names names, Oprah, Tyler Perry, Kevin Hart, and still sleeps fine at night because he's convinced the truth lands longer than any headline.
Oh, not they offered him $50 million and he turned it down. Who gonna turn down $50 million? Now, I've had to turn down $50 million 4 times. 4 times, just to protect my integrity and that virgin.
That's why he leans into the whistleblower label, mixing jokes with testimony, style with backbone, and a code he won't bend even when the room gets tense. What makes people lean in is how he links his personal story to bigger industry patterns, talking about gatekeepers, private deals, and who gets crowned versus who gets quieted when cameras go off. He says there's a reward for playing along and a price for pushing back, and he picks the price every time, even if it means walking away from opportunities most folks would chase. In his mind, that's integrity, not attitude.
Big deviance is all catching hell in 2024. It's up for all of them. It don't matter if you Diddy or whoever you is, TG Jakes, any of them. All lies will be
Have a conversation that's not being had. And I'm really sorry that these conversations are being had by a comedian. I wish too that it was a religious leader of some kind having this conversation, or somebody's politician talking about this.
He said, I'm not doing this. You are not going to get a black man, a real black man, to agree to do this to another black man.
The breakdown shows how he separates real craft from polished image, insisting comedy should stand on truth, not trends, saying if the laughs ain't honest, the culture pays later. He reruns moments that shape that code, like the Friday After Next backstory, where he claims the original script tried to push a bathroom assault gag on his character Money Mike, and he said no without blinking. That's not clout chasing, that's a line in the sand about what's funny and what's just disrespect. Fans called it brave because he was still fresh in a major franchise, and the easy play would have been to go along to get along, but he didn't, and the scene got cut. The video uses that as Exhibit A. When Katt says, I won't fold, it's not just talk, it's a pattern.
You not afraid about being blackballed again? These are some power people.
What do you mean again?
From there, the piece leans into how media frames him, how sketches and sound bites can turn a person into a cartoon so the message gets ignored while the hair and voice get mocked. He sees that as strategy, not coincidence, because it's easier to laugh at the messenger than wrestle with his receipts. That funnel leads straight into the feuds. Steve Harvey, Cedric the Entertainer, Kevin Hart, not petty spats, but challenges about originality, ethics, and who really gets protected.
If you have real problems with people, and your problems are like serious, it's not hard to ever get to a person and really like address the problem correctly. The problems that people have with me, they aren't my problem.
Nobody knows why liars lie. And that's why I had to come on the program. Cedric did the same thing. Cedric told you when you asked him, did you steal Katt Williams' joke? Yeah. He said, it don't lie.
He accuses certain giants of lifting material or building spotless brands off other people's ideas, which lights up comment sections because fans remember bits, timelines, and tour clips like stat sheets. Whether you agree or not, the video shows Katt positioning himself as the watchdog of the craft, not the chaos guy, saying he's calling it how he sees it, even if it costs him rooms, relationships, or smiling photos. And he doesn't stop at comedy. He talks power and image, how some black stars get boxed into roles that look safe for the system, and how anyone who won't fit that box gets labeled difficult, unstable, or controversial, so people dismiss the critique before they even hear it. The piece also pulls in the Dave Chappelle angle to show Katt's approach isn't the only playbook out there. Sometimes Katt salutes Dave for walking from big money. Other times he wonders if there was more behind that exit, hinting at pressure beyond what fans see. Meanwhile, Dave's line is, "Don't aim at peers, aim at the machine," which creates a live debate about tactics. Do you break silence by naming names, or do you build unity and push its systems together?
Think about your mama, man.
Think about my mama. Think about your ass.
Think about what your mama say. You all right?
Yeah, I'm fine. You know what I'm saying? I got a little razzle dazzle. It's all right. My name is Money Mike, player. How you doing?
Truth of the matter is, the Money Mike in the original script got raped in the bathroom, and that's what Ricky Smiley was okay.
Just wanted to address a few things. You know, everybody been checking out the internet. My man Katt Williams. You know, first of all, I just want to...
The video doesn't try to settle that. It just shows the friction and lets the audience decide which route hits harder. And to drive home the stakes, it touches the real-world weight around Katt's orbit. How controversy, tragedy, and constant headlines make the air feel heavy when he speaks, because one quote can spark a week of think pieces. That's why the room goes quiet, not because he's trying to be shocking, but because people know he might say the thing everyone's been whispering and force the timeline to deal with it. Today, not someday. Every time Katt Williams opens his mouth, someone powerful gets uncomfortable. And that's the point. He's not just cracking jokes, he's shaking tables. When he starts talking about how the game really works, people who sit in those top floor offices start shifting in their seats. The video lays it out plain. Hollywood rewards obedience and punishes independence.
Coming next. Once I establish this as a place of truth, oh yeah.
Katt says that if you're quiet, play the game, and keep your mouth shut, you'll get booked, funded, and protected. But if you speak too loud, they'll label you crazy, unstable, or a problem. And that's exactly the label he's carried for years, and because he wouldn't play soft. He calls out gatekeepers by name: Oprah, Tyler Perry, Kevin Hart, Steve Harvey, Cedric the Entertainer, saying they guard doors instead of opening them. Whether people agree or not, you can't deny he's consistent. His message stays the same every interview, every special, every viral clip. The truth doesn't have PR filters in his world. He goes hard on the claim that Hollywood has a system, a machine that decides who gets to rise and who stays in the shadows. He says the system loves safe faces, the ones who make money without shaking up the message. That's why he sees Kevin Hart as the golden child, the safe pick, the comedian the system built to smile and never offend. Katt calls that engineered, not earned, saying he watched roles written for him slide into other people's laps. Kevin usually brushes that off, telling fans he doesn't beef publicly. But that silence only fuels the mystery and keeps Katt's claims spinning in barbershops and podcasts. Then comes Steve Harvey and Cedric the Entertainer. Two legends, no question. But Katt claims they built some of their success off jokes that weren't fully theirs. He swears Cedric took one of his signature bits from his early grind days, and that Steve took lines from Mark Curry and him without credit.
For no Halloween costumes. Hey kids, please. Mama sent us down to the liquor store, put boxes on us.
Every Halloween, I had the same outfit on. Every year. I just had a brown box.
Those are serious accusations, and the internet remembers. People debate, clip old sets, and argue in the comments like it's a rap beef. Katt doesn't just throw shade, though. He frames it as protecting the culture. He says if comedy ain't built on originality and respect, then the whole art form loses its soul. That's why he goes at them like he does. Not because he wants smoke, but because he thinks somebody has to hold the line. The video shows how these clashes turned him into both a hero and a target. He's the man folks salute for saying what others won't, but also the man execs side-eye when he walks in a room. When he said Martin tried to put me in my first dress, it wasn't just about the scene. It was a statement about identity, control, and refusing to be mocked for a cheap laugh. He's pushing back on how Hollywood shapes black men on screen, how power gets disguised as opportunity, and that resistance comes at a cost. The more he speaks, the more the media paints him like a headline. Outburst, controversial, erratic, but the video makes it clear. He's not acting wild, he's reacting to a system that doesn't like when the curtain gets pulled back. Even the SNL parodies that exaggerated his voice and look felt like low blows to him. Not jokes, but tactics to turn truth-telling into comedy material. That's why fans call him fearless. Because even when the cameras clown him, he doesn't fold, he doubles down. He's not chasing attention. Attention chases him because people know once Katt talks, the industry's secrets start leaking out fast. And it's not just the comedy world he's challenging. The video digs into his words about Oprah and Tyler Perry, showing how deep this goes. He claims Oprah used her power to shape who thrives and who disappears, especially when it came to rappers or outspoken entertainers. Those claims got the internet buzzing. Half the crowd saying he's exposing real control, the other half saying he's reaching. Same with Tyler Perry. Katt calls out what he thinks is favoritism and insecurity in Perry's empire, claiming it blocks other black creators from shining unless they play politics. Those are heavy statements, the kind that make people whisper behind the scenes but never say out loud. But Katt says them live on record without blinking. Whether you think he's brave or reckless, you have to admit, he's consistent, and consistency is power. That's why every time he sits in a chair for an interview, the timeline goes into lockdown, waiting for who he'll name next, what story he'll drop, and who'll get nervous watching from the sidelines. By the time the video hits the later chapters, Katt Williams feels less like a comedian and more like a truth dealer walking through fire with a mic in his hand. He's not chasing applause, he's chasing accountability. Every word sounds like it's been sharpened for war, aimed at an industry that loves shiny stars but fears real voices. The video digs into how his outspokenness didn't just earn him respect, it earned him enemies too. Executives, co-stars, and studio heads all know that once Katt talks, secrets stop being secrets. And it's not just talk, he's got stories to back it. Like how he refused that $50 million deal 4 times, saying no to anything that made him compromise his message. He turned down what others dream about just to keep his freedom intact. To him, that's the price of self-ownership. No label, no brand, no network controlling his tongue. Fans call that loyalty to the truth. Critics call it stubbornness. But love him or hate him, Katt never bends, and that's exactly why Hollywood can't predict him, and that's what they really fear. The video also dives into how tragedy shadowed that fearlessness. When news hit about Reggie Carroll, a comedian linked to Katt's Heaven on Earth tour, being fatally shot, the shock rocked his circle. Reports tied the suspect to someone who had worked security for Katt, turning the spotlight from comedy to chaos overnight. Suddenly, the headlines weren't about jokes. They were about danger, tension, and the risks of being surrounded by noise and notoriety. The video doesn't linger on the pain, but it uses it to show how real his world gets outside the spotlight. Fans said it proved what Katt's been warning, that when you walk with truth in an industry built on illusion, you end up standing alone in storms most people can't handle. And even after that, he didn't vanish. He came back louder, calling 2024 the age of truth, telling audiences to look beyond the glam, question every headline, and see who really benefits when someone's career gets labeled crazy or canceled. He flipped grief into purpose, saying comedy isn't just laughter, it's a weapon against silence. He made it clear, the jokes are just the bait, the truth is the message. From that point on, the video paints him as more than a comedian. He's a cultural mirror. Katt stands as proof that speaking your mind in Hollywood costs more than money. It costs comfort, relationships, and sometimes even safety. But that's why people listen when he speaks. He doesn't deliver gossip. He delivers perspective, raw, messy, but human. When he says Hollywood doesn't get to set my morals, you can feel it. Every word sounds like a punchline with a heartbeat. That's what separates him from others chasing approval. He's not afraid of being misunderstood because he's convinced truth sounds like noise before it becomes wisdom. And even his peers know that weight. When legends like Eddie Murphy and Ice Cube acknowledge his voice, it shows the man's not just stirring drama, he's shifting culture. The video drives that home. When Katt Williams says a name, people don't scroll past, they stop and listen. Some stars like Taraji P. Henson or Marlon Wayans reportedly keep distance, not out of hate but out of caution, because everyone knows one wrong quote can turn into a headline when Katt's name's attached. By the end, the message is clear. Katt Williams is Hollywood's mirror and its nightmare at the same time. He's the reminder that fame without freedom ain't worth a dime. He's the voice that cuts through glitter and says, "Show me the truth." His career might look chaotic from the outside, but inside that chaos sits conviction, the kind you can't fake or buy. He's been called wild, unstable, too real for TV. But the same fire that makes people whisper about him is what keeps him immortal in comedy. Because in an age where everyone's scared to offend, Katt refuses to filter. And that's why his interviews go viral and his shows sell out. Because audiences crave something raw, something honest, something unbought. The video ends with a line that sums it up perfectly. When Katt Williams walks into a room, silence falls. Not out of fear for what he might do, but fear of what he might say. Because once he speaks, the lies can't hide anymore. That's the power of a man who owns his truth. And that's why, even after all the smoke, all the headlines, and all the noise, Katt Williams stands tall as one of the last real rebels in showbiz, unfiltered, unstoppable, and unbought.